The ACC regular season is wrapped up, and so today I'll be giving you guys my 2023 ACC tournament predictions as we look forward to the tournament, which gets started this week. This is conference tournament week in college basketball. All of the major tournaments are this week, and we'll be predicting the ACC tournament top to bottom here today. Let's get started with the first round, which gets started on Tuesday. We got Florida State and Georgia Tech, 12 versus 13 game here. And you got Florida State, who's just had a disappointing season. Really, from the start, it's just been a bad season. And, I mean, this team, they beat Miami down the stretch, which was an impressive win. But otherwise, this team has just been cold. Georgia Tech has been better down the stretch, I would say. Their 6 conference wins have come in the later part of the season. So this team has improved, I would say, over the course of the season. And that said, I will be going with them to win this matchup. I just don't know that Florida State is going to win this one. Although I do think it'll be close, and I think Florida State puts up a fight at the least. Then you got Boston College and Louisville. Louisville, just a terrible season. 4-27, 2-18 in conference. What a terrible season for them. Just a rough one. They're going to want to forget this one. I mean, this team started the season 0-9. They were 2-19 at one point, and I just don't know that they're going to have much energy in this matchup. I think Boston College around 500, they've still got something to play for at least, and so I think Boston College does end up winning this one in the end. And Louisville, I just once again don't know if they're going to have much energy considering they're 4-27 heading into the ACC tournament. Virginia Tech, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's had a poor season, 11-20 overall, 3-17 in conference. Virginia Tech has been better, 18-13, 8-12 in conference, and Virginia Tech is just, I just think they're the better team here. I like how they've played down the stretch. They're playing pretty well heading into the tournament. Notre Dame has just been cold, so I'll go with the Hokies there. Looking at the second round, we got Syracuse and Wake Forest, 8 versus 9 game here. This one's close. We actually just saw these two teams play each other at the end of the regular season. Yeah, just on Saturday, and we saw Syracuse win that matchup 72-63. But this is the ACC tournament, and it's tough to beat a team twice, especially in back-to-back games. That said, I'm going with Wake Forest to win this matchup. I think it's going to be close, but I do like Wake Forest. I mean, Syracuse otherwise has lost 4 of their last 5. Wake Forest hasn't been excellent down the stretch by any means, but I'll still take them to win this matchup. Next up, we got Georgia Tech and Pitt. This would be an interesting matchup. Georgia Tech, who has played well down the stretch. Pitt, on the other side, is coming off of 2 difficult losses. Lost to Notre Dame and then lost to Miami on Saturday by 2. Miami ended up getting the 1 seed, clinching the 1 seed because of that. And so a couple of tough losses, and in the end, Pitt gets stuck in the second round. But I still think they win this matchup. But I do think Georgia Tech definitely puts up a fight here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a 13-5 upset. And honestly, I mean, either Florida State or Georgia Tech, whoever wins that matchup, they could definitely beat Pitt, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I will take Pitt to beat that team right now. In this case, I've got that being Georgia Tech. Next up, we got Boston College and North Carolina. North Carolina, just a somewhat of a disappointing season considering where this team was at the end of last season. You look at the players that this team was returning. I mean, they were the preseason number 1 for a reason. And so here they are on the 7th seed for the ACC tournament, 19-12 overall, 11-9 in conference. And honestly, no doubt here I'm going with North Carolina. I just think this is a team that last season in March Madness, they were the 8th seed, made it to the Final Four. And North Carolina, I do think, I mean, this is a team that has proven to be a big threat when it comes to postseason tournaments. And I see North Carolina as a very tough out in this tournament, especially at least for the ACC tournament. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a run in March Madness as well. But yeah, I got North Carolina winning this matchup. Boston College, they're a decent team, but nothing special in comparison to North Carolina. Virginia Tech and NC State after this. I do think Virginia Tech wins this matchup. I'm going with an 11-6 upset here. I think NC State is a solid basketball team, but in the end, I'm going to go with Virginia Tech. I like how they've played down the stretch, and I've got them making it to the quarterfinals. Wake Forest and Miami. Miami, the number 1 seed, clinching the number 1 just on Saturday. And this team is hot heading into the ACC tournament. I could very much see them winning this tournament outright. Wouldn't be surprised to see them make a run in March Madness as well. Wake Forest, I mean, I've got Wake Forest beating Syracuse, but I just don't see either Syracuse or Wake Forest making it very far, especially with Miami right there. So I'm going to take the Hurricanes to win this matchup. Then you got Pitt and Duke. I mean, Pitt once again, I'm not very confident they make a run in this tournament just on the way their regular season ended. They're also just somewhat of an inconsistent team. I like Duke in this matchup. That's a team that really has played well down the stretch. I think Duke at the end of the day is definitely one of the most dangerous teams as we look forward to March Madness and the tournaments. And so, yeah, I got Duke winning this matchup. They move on to the semifinals, North Carolina and Virginia. We talked about North Carolina. That's a team with some great experience, and there's a reason why this team was the number one in the preseason. And we'll see if they can turn it on in the postseason. They've disappointed a bit in this season, but I do think North Carolina, I mean, if you do not want to play them, whether that's in the ACC tournament or in March Madness, you don't want to play them. I've got North Carolina beating Virginia, and that's tough to say. I like Virginia a lot, but I do think the Tar Heels, I mean, you got Baycott, you got Caleb Loves, just such a solid team, just all around. I've got them winning this matchup and moving on to the semifinals. Then you got Virginia Tech and Clemson. This would be a fun one as well. Virginia Tech, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them be one of the, you could say, Cinderellas of the ACC tournament coming out of the first round. I mean, if there's any team that's going to make it far out of the first round, probably Virginia Tech or even Georgia Tech. It could be one or the other. But I do think Virginia Tech and Clemson, this would be a close matchup, but I would go with Clemson to win this matchup just because of the double bye. Virginia Tech with their third game in 3 days. I mean, it's just so tough to win the tournament out of the first round because you're playing back-to-back games. And so that's I'm going to go with Clemson to win that one. So the semifinals, you got Miami and Duke. This would be an outstanding matchup. You got Miami, who is just a super hot team right now. Duke, just a team you can never count out. And in the end, I'm going to go with Duke to win this matchup. I've got them winning this matchup and heading to the ACC Tournament Championship. I like Miami a lot, but when it comes to Duke and the way this team has played down the stretch, I mean, this team has been hot between Jeremy Roach, Filipowski. This has been a hot team down the stretch. They won their last 6 games of the regular season. And yeah, I could see this team being very dangerous, and I've got them beating Miami in the end. And then you got North Carolina and Clemson. This one is definitely a tough one to predict as well. And North Carolina, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Duke-North Carolina matchup for the championship. But in the end, I'm going to actually take Clemson to win this one. Now, this is pretty much a coin toss here. I think North Carolina does end up turning it up in the postseason. I see North Carolina making some runs in both the ACC tournament and March Madness. But Clemson, I've got winning this matchup barely, and they proceed on to the championship. Clemson's a team that I think some are sleeping on, and I definitely wouldn't be. I've got them in the championship. You got Duke and Clemson here for your ACC tournament championship. You got your 3 versus 4 seeds going head-to-head. I like Clemson and how they've played as well. I mean, they've been a bit inconsistent down the stretch. They've had a couple of disappointing losses here or there, but I see Clemson being the team that really turns it on. But as much as I like Clemson, this is a team that's going up against Duke, who has played as well as they have down the stretch, and in the end, I think Duke wins the ACC tournament. I'm going with the Blue Devils to win it. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it were any of the 4 teams I've got in the semifinals, plus you maybe could say Virginia. I see Virginia being a threat as well, but they just got a tough draw there in the quarterfinals against North Carolina. But I've got Duke winning the ACC tournament. That's a team that I think could very much be a problem as we look forward to this tournament, but also March Madness. But that's going to wrap it up for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this bracket. Who you think is going to win the ACC tournament? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Obviously, it's the best time of the year when it comes to tournaments, when it comes to college basketball. You never know what's going to happen, and that's the best thing about college basketball. Let me know your thoughts once again in the comments below, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.